Today we'll be looking at variation, and we'll be dealing with two types of variation, the direct and the inverse variation. Though we have other variations like the joint and the partial variation. But today we want to just see how to write mathematical expression for direct and inverse variation. Now in variation, two quantities have to be involved. One is called a variable and the other is called a constant. A constant is a value that remains unaltered under different situations. On the contrary, what is a variable? A variable is actually a value that changes under different situations. Therefore, variation has to do with a relationship, do you understand, between variable and constant. Now, we want to see how to write mathematical expression for direct variation. For instance, if let's see a question which says that if x varies directly as y, write an expression of x in terms of y. So how do we do that? X vary directly as y. Write an expression of x in terms of y. Now, this is the expression for x very directly as y. So we need to replace the sign of proportionality with an equal k. Now, if we do that, we're going to replace this by this, then we'll have x equal ky. Now, this is x in terms of y, where k is a constant. Now, we can see x and y in this expression are the variables because they are the values that can change in any situation. But k is a value that remains unaltered in this kind of situation. So k is a constant. So the value of k remains the same throughout a particular question. The value of k remains the same. So let's take another question. If the question is x varies directly as the cube root of y, write an expression of x in terms of y. So this is x varies directly as the cube root of y. So an expression of x in terms of y means that we have to replace our equal k with a sign of proportionality. So my expression becomes x equal k the third root of y. So this is x in terms of y. So x and y are the variables because they are things that are likely to change, but k is a value that remains the same throughout a particular situation. Now let's talk about inverse variation. Now in inverse variation, for instance, if I say at y, the inverse, I want to find the inverse of y is 1 over y. The inverse of z squared is 1 over z squared, or it can be written as z raised to the power of negative 2. The inverse of, okay, let's say the third root of y is 1 over the third root of y. Now, I want to take mathematical expression for inverse variation. Now, if the question is x varies inversely as the square of y, write an expression of x in terms of y. So if x varies inversely as the square, y squared, the square of y, so x will be, I'm going to change this to equal k, and I have 1 over y squared, so x will be k over y squared. So therefore, this expression is x in terms of y. So x and y are called variables because they are values that are likely to change, but k is called a constant because it is a value that remains the same throughout throughout an equation or throughout a given problem. So let's take another problem. The last expression, if the question is x varies inversely as the cube root of y, write an expression of x in terms of y. So this is x varies inversely 1 over the cube root of y. So x will be equal k 1 over the cube root of y. So x will be k over the cube root of y. So here x is expressed in terms of y. Now x and y are called the variables. Yk is the constant. The constant is a value that remains unaltered. It doesn't change throughout a particular question. Thank you for watching my video. You can always subscribe on my channel. God bless you. Bye.